He has lived the life of a full-time Hindu monk from about 1978 to 1986 and was initiated as a Hindu priest in India in 1986. Acharya-ji earned a PhD in religious studies from the University of Wisconsin. Currently, he is recognized as one of the world's foremost authorities on Hinduism, the yoga tradition, Dharma, spirituality, and meditation. He has so far published 12 authoritative books on Vedic spirituality, and his online video talks have been seen by millions of people throughout the globe. He is one of the very few non-Indian spiritual teachers on the earth to be fully accepted by both Orthodox Indian Hindu community and Western spiritual seekers as well. From July 2007 to July of 2009, Sri Acharya-ji served as the resident Acharya of the Hindu Temple of Nebraska in Omaha, where we reside, which presents the first time in history that an American had ever been appointed to such a highly prestigious post. He is the director of the International Sanatana Dharma Society, which is a global spiritual movement that is headquartered in Omaha. For further information, if you're interested in listening to or learning more of his teachings, you can visit our website, is dharmacentral.com. So thanks again, and I hope you enjoy the talk.
Suffering is something that every human being, really every living being, can relate to. And very specifically, the title of this short talk that I'm going to be giving is How to Stop Suffering. Because we all know that we're suffering in so many ways. That's not what we need to know. What we need to know, of course, is how to stop suffering. So again, thank you very much, and this will be a very brief talk. First of all, I want to say that it's interesting, for those of us who are here in America, for those who have been born here, for those who are more recent arrivals here, we know how fortunate we are. We know that we are living in what is really one of the most prosperous countries in the world, and more than that, in Nebraska, which itself is one of the best states in one of the most prosperous nations in the world. We know that we have so many blessings that are here in so many ways, economic blessings, we have wonderful health care, etc. So many blessings that are here. Yet at the same time, interestingly, we know that if we look at the rest of the world, we here in America are actually quite privileged to be living in such a wonderful nation. And as a result, sometimes it's easy for us to forget that indeed we are living in a world that has tremendous suffering in it. Of course, if people travel throughout the world to much poorer nations where there's tremendous poverty, political oppression, etc., we know that we are very, very fortunate to be here. And that in actuality, this is an interesting world of duality. It's a world in which we see tremendous wealth, tremendous poverty. It's a world in which we see tremendous joy, but at the same time, again, tremendous suffering. So this is something that we've all witnessed in so many ways. And again, it's very easy for us to forget that even here in America, even though America certainly is a nation that has tremendous prosperity, one of the wealthiest nations in the world, despite that fact, interestingly, internally, psychologically, spiritually, there seems to be almost more suffering here than anywhere else in the world. You know, multiple tens of millions of people, for example, in America, suffer from depression, suffer from mental illness, suffer from anxiety. You know, who here has not experienced tremendous anxiety, tension, etc. in the course of your life? Just in day-to-day life, trying to make your way into the world, worrying about work, about money, about your children, about so many things that are going on. So we all know that it is a world of indeed tremendous suffering. Now, interestingly, all of the great sages of the past have always acknowledged this fact, that we live in a world of good and bad, of happiness and suffering. And of course, the Buddha himself is known to have said, indeed, this is a realm of suffering. However, we are not merely to focus on the negative. We know that we're all suffering in various ways. But these great sages of the past, the Buddha included, did not only talk about the fact that this is a crazy, topsy-turvy sort of world in which there can be so much pain. But more than this, more importantly, this is a realm in which we also have the ability to free ourselves from that pain, to free ourselves from that suffering. And this is the most important thing, is that this ultimately is what people are seeking. What ultimately is every living being seeking? You know, I'm going to tell this very brief story. At first I wasn't, but I think this is a story that people need to hear, actually. Very brief. True story that fits in perfectly to illustrate the nature of this world. You know, when I was very young, I was born and raised in New York City, in Brooklyn, actually, Brooklyn, New York. For anyone who's been there, you know what a crazy place New York is. Very, very busy, people everywhere, noise everywhere, traffic everywhere. Well, I remember there was a time when I was extremely young. I was a very young child. I'm not sure how old, maybe like 7 years old, something like that. And I remember sitting on the stairs of my home in busy Brooklyn, and I was doing something that a lot of people did. Everyone here has done this at one point. I was watching the ants. I was just looking down and watching the ants crawling around, crawling around. Who here has not done this? Everyone has done this at some point. Well, I was a little child doing this. I remember thinking to myself, how amazing is it that these ants, they never stop? Have you ever seen an ant just stop and contemplate its life? They never stop. That's right, they never stop. They're constantly in motion. And what are they doing? They're searching. They're searching, searching, searching. Think about this. What are they searching for? They're searching for something so small that to the human eye, we would barely even notice it. They're looking for a little bit of a grain of rice, some crumbs, something like that. They look and they look until they find it. And then once they find it, what do? They bring it back to their little ant home. And at that point, what do? Do they put their 6 legs up and just relax at that point? They go back out. The search continues, and the search continues, and the search continues for what they, as an ant, are looking for. Well, when I was 7 years old and watching these ants doing this, I remember thinking to myself, oh, how stupid are these ants? Don't they know that there's more to life? But then, even as a 7-year-old, I remember looking up, and again, this was New York City, very busy, and what did I see? I saw planes flying by overhead. I saw cars zooming by. I saw people walking all up and down the sidewalks, going to all their various destinations. And as I looked at the humans, I realized these humans were just like the ants. We're all like the ants. And then more, I realized every living being is searching. Think about it. Every animal, every human, every insect, even the plants. If you have a plant at home, you know, and you watch it over several weeks, what will you see? It starts to lean toward what it wants, the sun. So every living being is searching for that thing which they think will make them happy. Well, as human beings, as individuals who have the ability to think philosophically, to think about what is the nature of the world, we also are searching. But of course, we know that in actuality, we're not searching for crumbs. A lot of human beings are searching for what they think are higher things. They're searching for a career. They're searching for an education. They're searching for money. All the things that human beings are searching for. And we think we're so much superior to the ants. In actuality, of course, these are just crumbs too. There are crumbs. Why is it that, whether it's the ant, whether it's an animal, whether it's a plant, whether it's a human, as we search for every individual material thing that we think we want, when we get that thing, like the ant, are we satisfied, or like the ant, do we go out again and keep searching and keep searching and keep searching? The search never ends. And why is this the case? Because in actuality, in our heart of hearts, we're not searching for money. We're not searching for a spouse. We're not searching for an education. We're not simply searching for these material things, a new car, etc. These things never bring satisfaction. In actuality, in our heart of hearts, what we are searching for is that thing which, when we find it, the search ends. The search ends. Because we have joy. We have peace. We have happiness. This is ultimately what we are searching for. It's amazing, something else I've contemplated about the nature of modern American society. What is stressed here? Economic development, economic success, entertainment, political rights, etc. All these externals are always stressed, but what is never stressed? What is the one question that people, whether it's politicians, cultural leaders, important people in society, what is the one question that they never ask? Are people actually happy? Are people actually happy? This is the one question that people never ask. They ask, oh, are people prospering? Do they have their rights, etc., etc.? Are they entertained by enough music, by enough movies? But they never ask, with all these things, are people deeply satisfied and happy? This ultimately is what we are searching for. We are searching for a joy, a peace that is so deep, that is so permanent, that once it is attained, our search ends. Such an attainment can only be achieved through spirituality. Is that a bold statement? No, because we've tried everything else. Everyone here has tried everything else. We've all searched for different pleasures in life, but yet you're still searching. For the search to end, ultimately, what we need to do is to surrender to spirituality. And very, very quickly, just for another minute or so, I want to talk a little bit about how we can finally have our suffering come to an end and how we can experience this deep joy that we are truly looking for, this spiritual joy. Several things I want to tell people, and these are things that most people here I'm sure know already, but still, simply for the sake of re-emphasis, let me simply say these several things. First of all, this is how we stop suffering. First, be spiritual. We've tried the material. We've tried materialism in every way whatsoever. It is in turning to the spiritual, in turning to that which is ultimately real, which is not illusory, which is not temporary, which doesn't simply come and go like a car. You can buy a brand new car today. Here, let me give you an example. You can buy if they're out already, you can buy a 2018 Lincoln Continental. All right? Brand new, beautiful, you just spent a lot of money on it. What will it be like in 20 years? Of course, it will simply disintegrate. It will simply get to the point where it won't be useful anymore. Instead, focus on the spiritual. Focus on that which is permanent. Focus on that which gives you permanent joy. The second thing is spiritual and philosophical inquiry. In other words, educate yourself about what is spirituality. Educate yourself about what is the philosophy of Dharma. Educate yourself about what is the meaning of life, why we are here. All right? Third, follow Dharma. And I know that in the Theravada Buddhist tradition, the term is Dhamma. And I'm using the Sanskrit word, Dharma. It means the same thing. What is Dharma? Very, very briefly. Dharma is the natural way of the universe, which, if we follow it, if we follow Dharma, we have everything that we're looking for. We have harmony, we have peace, we have balance in ourselves and balance between ourselves and the world. So follow Dharma as much as possible. This fourth thing is extremely important. Practice meditation. You see these monks who are here, these wonderful, luminous monks who literally have light coming from them, who radiate peace. The reason why they are the way that they are is because they meditate. But meditation is not only for the monks. Meditation is for everyone who is here. If you don't meditate already, please learn how. You have the most wonderful resources here in the form of these monks who can teach you very deeply how to meditate and how to attain peace. If you already meditate, then please continue. Maybe double the amount of meditation that you do. But this is especially the key and the path to peace, is to have a regular daily meditation schedule in which every day you sit and you meditate very, very beautifully, very peacefully. And if you do this, please believe me, I'm someone who I have done meditation at least since the age of 10. I've done meditation for over 40 years now. And let me tell you, as someone who does meditation, it works. It's something that truly does work. So please do meditation. Practice compassion. Practice compassion. In the Dharma tradition, in Buddhism, etc., we hear this all the time, compassion. But what does that mean? What compassion truly means in the ultimate sense is this: teach others how to live. Teach others how to follow Dharma. In fact, more than anything, this is how I'm going to end my talk. You want suffering to end in your own personal life? You want to contribute to the end of suffering in our world today? This is the greatest way to do this. Become Dharma in motion. Become a living representative of Dharma in such a way that when people see you, when people are in your presence, they themselves feel elevated. They themselves feel more peaceful. They themselves feel more wise. So in every way that you can, practice Dharma. And let me simply end by saying this very practically. The greatest way you can practice Dharma, support the temple. Thank you very much for your patience. Namaste.
Thank you. Sorry โยม Thank you so much ขอตัวขอไปทำงานโยมเพราะว่าให้สิมาสิมันเป็นเรื่องเมืองงงเนาะเอาพอรัตนเทศเลยขอโทษทำรายเด้อให้กับเมื่อยอาจารย์ก็ไปกัน